Welcome back everyone to Let's Play Langrisser. We're on part 16 and in scenario 7, A Brave Man of the Fortress. Bolsha's defense fortress Anza was attacked by Diegos' army, leading advances to save his men. As you can see by looking below, we're fighting some lizards, some arrows, and typical infantry and horseman units. Map looks quite large, couple of bridges, a lot of water. I'm expecting all of that to pose a problem, but we'll see what we can do about that. We've got 6 people now, 6 generals, ready to take back our land because we're still fighting for it. We got our castle, but that's just the beginning. Right off the bat, giving Jessica plenty of guardmen and Chris. They're not very powerful, but they're still something, and they need the help. Well, really, they need the experience, especially Chris, because she's been with us for a little bit now, and she's still not quite where we'd like her to be. It's quite possible at this point to have her with her next upgrade, which presents her with a much stronger version of the Guardman, but we'll be fine because she has help. And just don't want to overdo it, but at the same time want to make sure everyone's got a decent number of men because everybody's not going to be sticking together for this one. We're going to be going off in all kinds of different directions, so got to make sure everybody's prepared. Obviously this map is suited to Taylor since he's going to be riding his crocodile over water with the merman. They'll have a defense advantage in the water and they're going to need it. And the trickiest part for me is always deciding who to give the items to. Yeah. But you know what's funny is, again, I've had more experience since my first run of this with the sequel, again the Mega Drive version, before we get into all the many delightful versions of Der Langrisser, which I've yet to play still. I'm just slowly working my way to getting to it. I've also tried out the Langrisser Dramatic Edition on Saturn, which is basically Langrisser 1 and 2 upgraded. I've only, again, played Langrisser 1 on that, but it's interesting to compare and contrast the differences between that and this one. Most glaring of which is character portrayals and the soundtrack. And oh, for those who are interested in that, it will be in all Japanese, but I am going to be showing that off at some point in the near future. Very near future. I obviously want to wrap up this version first. But back to the battle here. Also tricky deciding where you want to put everybody, because Albert, known as Bayard in the Warsong localization, he is a pretty decent fighter himself, but problem is he's only got so many soldiers and they're going to be surrounded very quickly, and they can only hold out for so long, and obviously if they manage to defeat him, well, you know. And of course we're not giving up. That's not in our books. What? Yeah, I'm with Albert. We don't allow that kind of talk. Yeah, so he's a good man. Valiant sort. Leader notes that they're fighting quite well. He recognizes good work. And we like to reward that same work when we can, so I don't think there's any better reward than, you know, surviving, so we'll help him out with that. We're going to send Leiden and Narm that way. They are our strongest commanders at the moment. Not that I expect that to change anytime soon. And they're the best equipped to deal with what's over there. Now the only good news is Albert is surrounded in part by archers. Or actually completely. I think both battalions that surround him are archers, so that's the one good thing. Even though it's a lot of troops to deal with and they're still a pain, at least his soldiers have a type advantage against them, so that's the only reason why he'll be able to hold out for more than a couple turns, which he will. Now of course, you know, the random nature of these type of games, results vary from playthrough to playthrough, person to person. Sometimes he holds out better than other times, but in general, he doesn't do too bad. You just don't want to, you know, lollygag or procrastinate or fall asleep at the wheel. You want to make a beeline towards that general direction ASAP. But you don't want to overdo it because you got these lizard men that you see over here that Taylor is going to attempt to lure. See, the fun with Taylor is, again, over the water, him and his merman have pretty good movement. So we want to kind of throw them all over the place slowly. We're going to start over here on the west and make our way east, basically I'm going to be sending him wherever people need the most help. What I would like to do, if I can manipulate the AI, you know, throw them a carrot, dangle it in front of their face, have them snatch it up. I'd like them to kind of go towards Thorne and Chris. I don't want them to go for Taylor completely, because then they'll be sticking in the water, and even though he has an advantage in the water, they obviously do too, so it's going to be a 50-50 split. And you know, I'd rather the odds be overwhelmingly in my favor when possible, so. Also, we want to make sure that before they engage us, Chris and Thorne are well protected in the trees and such. Always want to position so that they're getting the best terrain effect and the enemy is not. Also, apologies, my voice kind of goes in and out here and there. I am still been struggling for almost a week now to get rid of this bug in me. I don't get sick often, but when I do, it's usually pretty nasty. So this is the nastiest it's been for a while. So apologies in advance. Been trying to get extra rest, hoping that I'll be 100% pretty soon. Definitely by the time I record for the next scenario. Oh, what's this? Lead them into the water. Yeah, don't try to fight them on land. It's a disadvantage for us. And thank you, Nameless Commander, for giving us a big tip. I mean, we know this by now, but if this is your first time and you didn't know, well, there you go. So we got that other group there far to the east. And we don't have to worry about them for a while. They're kind of there to tempt us to focus on them, I think, but not going to be doing that. And this is when the enemy troops play the Super Bowl shuffle. They can, it's cool. We're focused, we know what our goals are, and we aim to achieve. Okay, so they're officially engaging Albert's men, and let's see how they do. They have the advantage again, and ooh, they're showing it off. Very good start. Hope they can keep it up. And see, another thing too is they're able to take advantage of 40% defense, which they don't all do because they very adamantly stick to the move formation, that diamond formation, which isn't terrible, but I think would serve them all better if they stuck to the 40% castle wall terrain as much as possible. And yes, if I find myself, or if you find myself speaking a little bit less in the next few parts, again, it's all related to said illness, throat, stomach, etc. So apologies. I want to stick to schedule though. I don't want to take the time off and stop recording until I'm 100% because A, don't know how long that'll be, and B, you know, I have so much on my plate right now that, and I'm still adding, that I really don't feel like I can afford to take time off from anything. That'll just throw things off for me. So I hope this isn't too painful to listen to. Again, if I have to even go back and edit out some of the more unpleasant sound effects that might emit from my sound box, I am more than willing to do that because you guys are worth it. You're taking time out of your precious day to listen to me, listen to the video. It's the least I can do, in my personal opinion. So we're just gonna press on and persevere. I mean, look, Albert there's fighting 2 enemy divisions by himself. Well, him and a few men. Puts things in perspective, doesn't it? And yeah, check on them. They're kind of okay still. Now Jessica, what to do with her? I'm hoping that eventually those lizards are going to go for her and her men, so we're just going to kind of get her in position right now. That way, Leading and Narp can continue focusing on getting to Albert, who desperately needs them. And we don't like to keep our public waiting. Yeah, so at this point, we're going to move Taylor down. We don't want the Serpent Knight and his men to stay in the water. We want to draw them on land. Even as he noted, that being on land would be very bad for them. They continue to do it anyway, so I guess that's what happens when you're a little too zealous. And just want to again stick to the trees. Probably better that I focus on putting their men, their mercenaries in the trees over them, because my generals are pretty strong, all of them. They can afford to do without the extra defense boost. I mean, it helps, but I think it's better it goes to the troops as a priority because they're weaker by nature. So, and again, the more of them that survive, the better. In this version, we don't get any sort of bonuses for how many survive at the end of the fight, but it's always good to have survivors anyway. Especially during the battle, a little extra reinforcement, just to ensure that nothing unpleasant or untimely happens. And gonna bring her back this way. Now that we know what direction that Serpent Knight is going, was just covering all my bases there, or at least attempting to. Okay, and you see there, Albert is a pretty decent level too, so it won't take him long to get promoted. And not really sure what I'm going to make him at this point, but again, as much as possible, I want to change things up from my no commentary walkthrough, so I'll probably do the opposite of what I did there. Yep, the one time where the land is going to be better than the mountains defensively. Nothing better than castle walls for defense unless you're a flying unit, in which case all sorts of extra options and worlds open up to you. Who knows, we might even get to see that for ourselves later. Okay, here they come. And here we go. Surviving, yes, just barely. Only way they'll make it for another round though is if nobody else can reach them, which I'm hoping will happen. Now, you know what's funny? Lizardmen do very well against most types of troops, despite the fact that they have a paltry, a penny's worth 8 defense. You see that 8 defense single digits right there with the mermen, but their attack is so high that they still do damage anyway. So they're kind of obnoxious, and this is on land too. Now imagine if we're fighting them in the water. It would be almost a lost cause. With mermen, it's pretty much 1-to-1 with them, but that's not really good because a lot of times they'll just take each other out, so you're still going through troops, just burning through them relentlessly, so you don't want that either. Which again is why I'm trying to save Taylor, to have him and his men deal with commanders directly if we need to pitch in and do more damage, or hopefully save them for later and deal with some of the troops on this side of the map where Leiden is. But if we can lure them to the banks or in the water, where we'll have the advantage, then even better. I think, based off what I've read here and there, mermen are pretty unpopular in this game, which I can kind of understand because they've gotten the short end of a stick in a sense, but they're actually pretty good units. You just got to know how to use them and make use of their special abilities. But what's even better though is in every other version of this that I've played so far, and this goes for Langrisser 2 as well, the mermen are so much better as a unit. I guess the developers kind of realized that they did kind of shaft them a bit, so they're just much better overall, whether on land or water. They're just much more effective against a variety of troop types. And yeah, they don't feel like such a hindrance. So you can feel a lot less anxious about making your generals into Serpent Knights or Serpent Lords or anything naval related, because they'll be much better off. I mean, they're still gonna suffer that knock to movement when they're on land, but still, their pluses more than outweigh their minuses, in my opinion. And besides, unique unit. Now, everybody's different, but I usually tend to go for the unique classes as much as possible. If I only have one person who can become something, then I'm probably going to want to make them that. Unless it's just such a greater advantage to have them become something else, which sometimes can be the case. So here we are. Let's focus on Albert again. So yeah, all these archers. And the enemy generals for both groups are basic fighters, it looks like, so he should have even stats with them. So they won't be much of a problem, especially when we get there. It's just their troops, because they have so many. And see, the thing with archers, even though they're weak to soldiers, the fact that they attack first, and their attack is so quick, they're still dangerous. So that's why it's so important those soldiers stick to the castle walls as much as possible where they have the defense boost, which not all of them want to do. But again, this fight will be so much easier if you can control him manually and position them yourself. And we can't have things being too easy. No, really, we can't. It's not allowed. It's for our good, trust me, I'm sure. So we can take him out. Do we want to? Yeah, we want to do that. And down he goes, joining his friends in the abyss. Let's keep it pleasant, shall we? Try not to think about that place. Narm is just wrecking any and everybody who dares to stand in front of her, so I'm wondering what I want to do with her, if I can dare to push her forward, go around these guys, or... Yeah, we'll continue playing it safe for now. Take him out first. Move him forward. Albert, we're coming. Because we can attack from a distance, otherwise I'd be concerned. Ooh, in one. Excellent. That's what you like to see. I wasn't expecting it right there. I thought he would get him down to one. But this is good. Now, ideally, I would have leading kind of hold the rear as guard, and Narm would go up front because her soldiers would be the best for dealing with those archers. So I got to keep her away from the archers. That's the only thing. They will take her out in 1 or 2 rounds without a doubt. So I have to be very careful when we get to that point. And hopefully just to weaken him, not take him out completely. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And one survived. Perfect. That could not have gone better. Because now I'm completely comfortable doing this. Level 2, I'm completely comfortable with that.